Hi everybody, Jo here again. How are you doing? I hope you're keeping well. Welcome, thank you for joining me again. And today we're going to do another page in our Lavinia beautiful calendar. So if we look, I created January, which I have to say really enjoyed, and obviously Pippin's on there. And then we have a video for February, which I shared with you. And then last week we created a design for March. So today we're going to create April. You never know, I might actually get ahead because obviously at the beginning of the year I was playing a bit of catch up. So I can't wait for our new calendars ready for next year, so I can, my aim, hopefully, fingers crossed, is that when I've finished this calendar, the ones for next year will be out, so I can start next year's. And I'm thinking these are going to make fabulous gifts. Now, a few of you have messaged, and I don't know why, but you like to know how my head works, but I do tell you it is a dangerous place. And I've got to be honest, I am not brave enough to just think of a design and do it in my calendar. It's the same when I do my journal pages, so I have a little play. So what I do is I cut myself a piece of card, similar size to what my calendar size is, and I have a bit of a play with the design. So that's the sort of design I'm going for. Now, obviously, it may not be identical to this. One thing you have to think of with these, we have the metal binder here, so it's not as easy to stamp on this part. So the top may vary a little, but that's the sort of idea. And for me, that's the way I have to work. So I'm actually going to put that in front of me, and that's going to be my guide. I just have to do it. I mean, if you're one of these people that can actually work straight out of your head, do you know what? Fair play to you, because that's just not for me. But again, it's nice that we're all different, isn't it? So I'm just a few things, bit of copy paper underneath, and I just want a bit of kitchen roll here. Try and keep it as clean as possible. And I'm going to come in with the Tree of Hope and the Tree of Courage. And please don't ask me which one is which. And I'm sure some of you clever people know. There's probably a way of remembering this, but I'm just glad that I'm using both. And for me, you know me, turning my work to the side. And I'm stamping, I'm doing all my stamping in permanent ink. So that's our VersaFine Clair. It's not going to move with water. Beautiful permanent ink that gives a lovely fine detail. And these stamps, Tracy draws as the most fabulous detail. And I didn't tell you what colour, did I? This is pine cone. I'm going for, I don't think today, if I remember correctly, we're not stamping in black at all. So our Nocturne's having a holiday. He's gone off for his little holiday. He's gone off with Billy Breyer and Jeremy Gel Press, and they've gone for the holiday. So we're using pine cone. And sometimes it's nice to just use a different colour other than black. Now I've just caught the edge, so I need to just get rid of that. And I'm going to start with the tree furthest away from me first. And I'm thinking we'll put this, and I just want it a little bit off the page. I do like to have the design off the page slightly. Just dropped me Inky Binky on the floor then, so just quickly picked it up. Hopefully you won't notice. Just landed on Eric's head. He didn't look impressed. Oh, that's lovely. So we'll move on to the other one now. And these are just a lovely pair. I mean, again, you can use them individually, but for me, they work so well together. So I shall stamp the other one up. And again, like tapping, when you're stamping, don't press your ink pad down too hard. Lots of light tapping. And again, look, I've over-inked a little bit. Now, I know some of you can use your stamp when you've over-inked and it doesn't come onto your card. I am not one of those lucky people. If I don't wipe this here, look, I will get an extra brown mark on my card. And it's just, that's the way it is. No idea why, but that's just, it is what it is. So we'll put this one off the page as well. I think that's the thing when you're doing any sort of arts, crafts, design, stamping, painting, you get to know sort of your strengths and your weaknesses. And, you know, we all have our Achilles heel. And I think you almost play to your strengths and find ways round if there's something you're not as, you know, as prolific at. Oh, lovely. So we'll turn that round so you can see that hopefully. And then I'm going to use the Wild Hairs set. Now there is a small set, and just to show you the difference in, if I get one. So we've got the Wild Hairs and the Wild Hairs small. So that's the difference in size. Probably can't see that, can you, if I hold them down there? So you could use either, basically. I'm going to go for the larger set, but I think the small set would work just as well with this design. And I'm thinking, with this being April, now for us here in the UK, I'm thinking I was going for a sort of Eastery spring design. But I did think, and I know you lovely ladies, so many of you messaged me from Australia, New Zealand. I know you'd sort of be, I assume, autumn. But what I thought with this design, you could do this design, and because the trees are bare, and that's the way I love this, you could easily turn this into an autumnal card by changing your colours, changing your, you know, adding more leaves. So I think we'll go there. And that's what I thought, if I went for a design that would be spring-like for me, you could easily turn it into an autumn one. That's my theory anyway. So silhouettes, I was just holding it down a little bit longer. Now let's just get the other one. And again, I'm using the brown bunnies, and I want these facing each other. These are my little Easter bunnies. And again, I've just caught the top there. So we'll just have them facing each other there, I think. And again, I'm just going to hold him down. Just make sure that ink soaks in. I mean, it's beautiful cardstock, this. Oh yeah, happy with that. I will pop him over there. And then what I'm going to do at this point is just give it a bit of a blot. Versifying Claire's a slower drying ink, and I'm going to add the landscape next, and that's just the way that I tend to work. We've got a little bit of permanent stamping, then we'll add the landscape, then we'll add some more stamping, but I don't want to smudge this area, so I'll just get rid of that for the minute. And we'll come in with our hill masks. And what we're going to do now is use some of our Elements ink pads. And what I do before I start, I had a sort of, as I say, I wanted to think of spring colours. So the colours I've chosen is Sahara, which is almost a sort of a dirty yellow, if I'm allowed to say that. Lime Punch for that nice zesty spring green. Now we've got a little bit of confetti. I'm really into bringing pink into my work at the minute, so we've got a little bit of confetti. Some Della Blue for the sky, and some graphite just to add some extra shade. It's just there in case we need it. So they're the colours I'm thinking of using. Now again, I'm trying to be mindful to just cover this so I don't get any marks on it. Now I'm going to take the lid off my Lime Punch and my Sahara, and I'm not sure whether you'll be able to, they may just still be in shot. And we'll come in with our masks, and I want the flatter of the landscape masks, and we'll just see if I can get it under the trees and under, So for me, if I show you, look, if I get it under the bunnies and under that tree, can you see I'm missing this tree? But that's fine, because what I'm going to do is ink along here and then just angle it slightly and see if we can do it that way. Alternatively, you could do it in 3 parts, but I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start with this area here, and I know I've got to remember to stop there. Let's see if I do. And for this, I want to use a combination of the colours. So I'm going to come in with the green first, and as always, I dab off on the lid. This is just such a lovely thing to do. And my aim is to get us all dabbing off on the lid, so we're not wasting our ink on our mat. So on the mask first, and just gentle flicks, and we're going to come under the tree, look, and along and under the bunny and stop there. And I'm just going to lightly come down round where it says April. And then with my other brush, I'm just going to come into the Sahara. I was just checking it is Sahara then. Again, in the lid. And I just want to bring almost like a yellowy tone, just because I'm thinking spring Easter colours. Now again, you could bring orange into this for your autumnal one. Right, I'm going to stop there. Now if you look, there's a little bit there that I've missed. So all I'm going to do is just add a little bit of green and then a little bit of orange, and that'll be fine. So I'm just going to move the mask along, look, and I think there, that'll be fine. I'm not going to add any more ink onto my brush. I've got plenty, and that's the thing, we don't need to over ink our brushes. And again, I'm just going to come in with the yellow just to add that yellowy tone, and there we go. So I'm just going to wipe. Oh, sorry, not my my light. I have to say, it's so dark today in Holmes Chapel, so I do apologise if we get a lot of shadows or it seems dark. So I'm going to come in with my next, and I almost want the hill to go over their head. So do spend a bit of time thinking where, don't worry about this. The most important thing is I want this. Let me just see, will it go? Right, if we do it that way, and I can work towards me. You don't want it sort of too near to them, but I think that sort of distance, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to use the green brush. And again, I'm not adding any more ink, and I'm gently, and I'm almost going to fill in. So I'm doing circular motions, and I'm just gently adding a little bit of colour to the scenery here. And because you're not added any more ink, and you're doing very lightly hold your brush, you just tickle in that stencil and tickling around the area, around the tree, just filling in. Let me put the lids on and then I'll turn it round to show you. And I think the key here is not to add too much ink. So if I turn that round, can you see, if I bring it closer, because it's probably quite pale, and that's how we want, that helps with perception, so we can see that the hills are further in the distance. And because we've come round the rabbits, they almost have a little bit of a white halo around them. So again, that helps with no marks, no brush marks. So put the hill masks away. Again, important to put things away as we get them out, as we've used them. And onto the circle masks. And we're going to create some sky, hopefully. So we've got confetti and Della blue for this. And I just need to move this around so that you can see. And if we put the moon here, our circle mask, it almost mirrors that shape of the hill there. It's nice because it's off centre. I prefer mine off centre. I think it looks wrong if it's too centre. My characters are in centre here. So my moon just off centre with that shape. This is the theory anyway. Into the blue, again into the lid. These lids are our little blending palettes given to us. So again, onto the moon mask, really important. I know we've blended on the lid, but blend on the mask as well. And start at the base. So for me, that's why I do this almost backwards, because it's easier to blend at the base first. And then I'm just going to do circular motions. And just come into the corner here, just to take the edge off that card. Give it a blue, and again the top. And then I'm not going to add any more ink. I'm going to see if I've got enough just to gently, gently come over this side, especially in the middle of the page. Now it looks like I've no ink left on there. See if I can pick any up off the mask. Now I need a little bit more, so into the lid. But again, I'm going to start in the corner here because I want the corner darker. So I'm gently, gently, again, just tickle the page. And let's see if I can just bring a little bit of blue. And I'm just doing circular motions. Just want a little bit deeper there. Right, I'm going to turn that round so I can have a look. And I like that. I'm going to clean my moon mask and pop that away. So I'm happy how that's looking. Just file my moon masks on the floor. Going to put the lid on my Della Blue. Try and keep everything as tidy as possible. And then I want to add some pink into the sky. I'm thinking of those nice, lovely sunrises and sunsets we get. So I've got a brush, and this is my pink brush. I'm going to dab, and this is confetti, into the lid. Now, because I'm going to add some pink, if I come straight on with my brush and add it here, if I've got too much colour, that's going to look really obvious. So my tip is always start somewhere where it won't look as obvious. So if you bear with me, I'm going to have to turn my work to the side just because it's easier for me to work this way. And I'm going to start over here in this tree because for me, my eye is drawn to my focal characters and the moon. So I'm going to hold very gently, circular motions, and I'm hardly going to touch my work. And I'm just going to add a little bit of pink into the sky, round the tree, and then just work my way across the moon. And we're almost just adding a pink hue into this sky. And then round the tree, look. And again, I'm hardly touching. It's very gentle. Think of tickle. Honestly, if you think of the word tickle, it really helps. And I just think it's lovely to have a sky that isn't just a blue sky. And what I'll do, I'll just pop the lid on that. She says. And then turn this round so that you can see. And I have to say, for me, I just think that looks so lovely. Looks that real moody sky. Now, if you've got any areas where you're not happy with it, you can flick some water. But I would wait until the very end because you're going to have to let that dry. So let's do all our stamping and do that at the end. I want to add a little bit of colour to the trees. So all I'm going to do is I want to keep it all tone on tone. And also if you haven't got, say we haven't got a brown, say you've only got these colours of ink pads, let's actually use the Sahara. Pop a little bit on here and let's just add, and this is the number one, it's my favourite brush of these, the watercolour paint brushes, and let's just add a little bit of colour to this tree. Now, again, you will spend a little bit longer than me and actually paint it all in beautifully. But I'm always conscious that when you pop in, you might not have a lot of time. I do love to see. So many of you are putting the pictures of your lovely calendars on social media, and thank you for that. And thank you to the lady who sent me pictures of hers. Absolutely stunning. And it's so lovely to see all the different ideas. And the good thing for me is my practice piece, I think will look lovely in my journal. So again, these designs, when you think you could make a matching, I mean, in fact, I may even make this into an Easter card. So Mum, if you're watching this, look away, because that might actually just be your Easter card. Right, so I've just added a little bit of colour. I don't need too much. And we'll wipe that up. So that's your Elements ink pads. Remember, they're dye-based, so that means they move with water. Look at that. Lovely. Dead happy with that. So I want to add a little bit of shading just to give me an idea before we go any further. And I'm going to come in with the graphite and my little brush. I love this, the number 3. And I'm not going to use any masks or anything. I'm just going to add, and these little brushes are perfect for this. I've been using them a lot recently to either colour things in or, look at this, just add very quickly. Just to add that shade. So if you don't have any pastel pencils to add shade, just use your little brush. And it's just another way. The graphite is such a fabulous colour for this. And again, on this tree, the shade will be, moon's there, so it's going to be more this angle. And this one will have more in this corner, won't we? There we go. And for me, what a difference that makes. Right, let's add a little bit more stamping. So let's go along the base. And we've got a gorgeous, now this is actually a bluebell stamp, but for me it's just like a spring flower. And I want to bring in a little bit of pink. So VersaFine Claire Charming Pink. Let's add some pink florals. Now let me see how far down. Alexa, stop. So I'm just going to get a piece of copy paper and tear it, just because I don't want my stamping to come too far down here. So I'm thinking, let's have, I don't want to cover the dates, the days of the week, so we'll have a little group here. And again, I always think with florals, it's nice to have a grouping. Oh, this pink, and look how the pink goes nice with the pink there. So it actually looks like we've thought about it. Right, let's add another over here, I think. And again, some first and second generation. I seem to have a little bit of blue on my bluebell, so I've got multicoloured. See, that's nature for you. Throwing up these different coloured flowers. Right, because it's spring and we've got sort of yellowy tones, I'm going to come in with Golden Meadow. And this is almost a mucky yellow, but it's just such a lovely colour. So I think we'll have a couple of these. And it just goes with that sort of yellowy green we've used. And again, we'll just add a little grouping. I think it's nice to have these flowers just growing in little groups. So a couple over this side. Be mindful to remember my copy of paper. I mean, you could, if you wanted to stamp all the way down, you can, but I just think I need that space to write in. Yeah, I like that. I don't want to do any more. I don't want to overdo it. So I'll give that a wipe and put that away. So as I say, that's lovely. It's a bluebell. And let's bring in the orchard grass. We need some orchard grass, don't we? Now for this, we're going to use Verdant, which is this lovely light green. Very much reminds me of the lime punch. So just let me check you can see. Yeah. So again, we'll just add, and this is so nice to just put at the top. Look, it's so wispy. So your field grass would work well, but for me, the field grass might just be a bit large for this. The orchard grass is the smaller version, the little sister. So we'll just add a couple. And I love that second and third generation, again, just to add sort of depth and perspective. And I think we can actually just get a few in here. And then quick wipe with Mr. Inky Binky, and we'll come in with the brown. And we'll just add a few with brown. So that's lovely, but I want, because we've got brown stamp in here and the hairs are in brown, I want to bring a little bit of brown to the forefront here. And it'll bring it right to the front. So I'm thinking, yeah, you see, to me, look at that side. I think that looks more balanced and finished than this side. Do you agree? And it does make it look that cohesive design. And it all just blends and looks like it's supposed to be here. We're not overdoing it. We don't want a pizza. But we just need a little bit of the brown to bring it in to the design. And then I'm just going to wipe my stamp with the Inky Binky, and I just want a little bit of brown stamping just here, look. Just second and third generation. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So if I move that round, I hope that makes sense about the way that we've done that. I did have the woodland ferns to use, but I think it would be overdoing it for me. I like the way it is. So what I'm thinking now is we need some dangly bits from the tree. So we've got lots of leaf stamps. I did wonder about using the mini leaf. And so depending if you want foliage look, we've got lots of the pound leaf stamp you could add. But I'm thinking instead I'm going for the foliage set with this lovely hanging. And for me, I'm thinking it's spring. Now, I don't know about you, but we have bits that hang down from trees called catkins. And I dare say they probably have a proper name. But in my head, they're called catkins. And I know I have no idea what they are properly, what the botanical name is. So I'm just going to stamp myself some catkins. I should have looked it up really, shouldn't I? But so that's my bad, I'm sorry. So I'm going to use this golden meadow again, and let's just stamp some lovely. Now I do need these to be straight, so I just need to concentrate a little. Stick my tongue out. See, how many of you do that when you're colouring in? I bet you do. Don't want to overcook it, so we'll have a few on this side. Just need one there. And then what I'm going to do is come in with the verdant, that's the green. But I'm just going to give my stamp a good clean. And I almost want some half size, but in green. So I'm actually going to ink up in the corner and then see if I can just get some smaller ones looking green. So again, if I ink up on the corner and then see if we can just get some little, and again, I love that we've got the yellow and the green. I need a little bit more there. That's better. One more, just I think. There, yeah. Let's have a look on this side. If we can have a few. Again, I've just over inked my block. So just there. And then, oh, we could just put one, look, if we just, and I can see where the ink goes up to, look, so I can just judge it. Right, so let's turn it round and have a look. Obviously, all this working on the side. Yeah. So, for me, that just brings in those lovely spring hanging. And as I say, you can add flowers, you can add leaves. Now, I do just want some stamping here. So I'm just going to see, on my practice piece, I use the twisted vine, but I'm not sure because of this, if I can get this in. So, shall we have a go? Let's see. Now, I'm wondering whether my smaller block, if I put it right in the corner. Right, let's have a go, see? So, I need you to have a deep breath now. Let's try one in brown. Let's just see if we can. Maybe if we had a couple. See, what I'm thinking is, if it doesn't quite stamp, I have got my brown fine liner. Yeah, that's okay. And then let's come in with the green. So I'm just going to give my stamp a quick wipe. And again, I always clean my stamp in between. And let's see if we can just get a couple with the verdant. So if I get one in the middle, and then what I'm thinking is whether we can just get part over this side. And then same with this side, if we can just get a little bit, yeah. Oh yeah, I think that, I just like that shape coming down in between there. So as I say, just be mindful of the spine there. But obviously, you know, there are ways round it. So I've got to be honest, I think that's looking lovely. I'm happy with it. I hope you are. Little bit finishing touches. So let's get our pastel pencils out. And we'll just come in with the brown and add a little bit more shading under the tree. And if you want, look, where you've got these lovely, where Tracy's drawn the knots, you can add a little bit of brown. And again, it just helps give a bit more depth. We'll have a little bit more under the bunnies and a little bit more under this tree. And again, just in its nooks and crannies, in those little bits to give a bit more depth. And then we'll come in with the white and we'll have some bunny tails and just a little bit of highlight and a little bit of shape. And for me, again, you could use a gel pen if you wanted for this. Again, whichever is your preferred. And then the last thing I'm going to do with this lovely sort of orangey colour, I'm just going to come in and add a little bit of pastel pencil just to almost highlight a little bit on the tree here. Not on every branch, just on a few, just to make, you know when you get almost like it glows. I'm just going to add a little bit on here. A little bit on the tips of the ears for my bunny. And this is the sort of thing that if you don't, it won't, when you look at the design, it doesn't jump out at you. But if it wasn't there, so sometimes you almost need to add these little finishing touches that are the little extras, and they just make you work, you know, look, it just gives you that little bit of an edge. And don't do it on every single branch. You don't want to overcook it. You just almost want that lovely glow. And as I say, if I just bring it up to show you, so you see how we've just cut the ears slightly, just a little bit to make it look like I just want sort of that spring, that lovely spring glow. And then what we will do, we will add a little bit. So when I said before, I mean, I must admit, I'm really happy with my sky. But if you weren't, if there was any areas you just wanted a little bit of faux bleaching, just bring your fan brush in, look. So gently, gently, I'm just going to go. We've stamped in permanent ink, so it will only faux bleach your Elements ink, which is your dye-based ink. So we'll give that a minute just to... And while that's working, I want to stamp a little image at the bottom. I'd just like to make the design sort of cover the whole. So I'm thinking, which bunny haven't I used? Well, I'm just thinking, should we? I know. We could stamp him again at the bottom. So while that's just faux bleaching, just going to, I'd just like something down here. I just think the page is quite plain at the base. So we'll just, and again, it might be if you've got a birthday, you want to actually stamp something on that day. So mine's the next month, so next week I may just be doing something special on the next month. Right, so I'm thinking, let's just pop him here. And again, he's a silhouette. And I've done him in brown to match. Oh, he's a bit faint, isn't he? Right, so no need to worry. If that happens, and I could say I've done this especially to show you, what we'll do, we'll add a bit of shade underneath him. Let's just add him some shade. There we go. And then, not a problem. So we'll give him, we'll add a bit of colour to him. And again, I'm just going to blend that in. And then I'm going to come in with my white. Just give him a bit of shape. And nobody will ever know. And what I am going to do is bring in that lovely yellowy orange and just add a little bit of orange tones. And again, just with a biodegradable cotton bud look, just gonna add. So if you do like I did and it didn't quite stamp, if it misstamped a little, just do that. And you know what? Nobody will ever know. Because do you know what? You won't tell them and I won't tell them. And what we are going to do is put a little bit of the grass around him, again, just to distract your eye away. So we'll have a little bit, look, of the orchard grass, just yeah, there we go. Right, and if we come up here And I'm just going to pat this for that faux bleaching just to show you. So if I lift that up, so here you've got your faux bleaching, and it just shows that this beautiful paper takes the faux bleaching well. There's our bunny at the bottom, look. And the last thing I'm going to do here is add some Posca splats, and I'm going to come in with my yellow because obviously I'm thinking spring like, and I'm just holding my pen and I'm just tapping it, and I'm holding the nib where I want those splats, and I'm going to go around my flowers here, look, around my flowers here, and then the tree where I've got those lovely hanging catkins. I'm going to add some yellow, and the same with this one. And just in the lovely hanging foliage there. Now you could add some glitter if you wanted. I'm not going for glitter on this. I actually like this one the way it is, so I'm not going to add glitter. But what I may just add, my butterfly box. Right, I've got one that I stamped in brown. Now, what do you think? Yeah, I think that just, so again, let me just, I don't like it in the tree. I just think there, see, I could put it in the moon. No, I think that's too much there, just like it that side. Right, decision made. So I'm just going to draw the antennae. And like I say, this is a brown fine liner, which is perfect if you're going to be stamping in brown ink. And this is the pound Flutterby, and I've just stamped in brown ink, and then I've used my watercolour pencils and cut it out, and it's in my tin, and I'm actually going to stick it flat so my calendar will close. There we go. And I'm going to call that my page finished. So that's my lovely April page. So, and there, it's not that much different, is it, from my one that I'm going to make into a card. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I do love that sky. I hope you enjoy experimenting with the skies. You know, we get so much inspiration from nature. I know I do. I love it when I walk, Eric, and just have a look. And I love that fun of getting back and just seeing if I can try and recreate what I've seen. So, April is done. Next week, let's tackle May. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, as always. You take care, look after yourselves, and be kind to each other. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.